Welcome to another edition of Tickets to History, where I share my ticket stubs from my collection and my memories with all of you. Today we're going to take a look at the 2007 Super Bowl championship season for the New York Giants. First, we're going to take a look at the preseason games, and then the first 4 games of the regular season. So here you see all the preseason ticket stubs and the results. Now, on to opening week, and week 1 brings us to Dallas, where the Cowboys were a 6.5-point favorite. The first game here in Dallas was a shootout. There's the ticket stub in the middle of the screen. This was also the NFL debut of Ahmad Bradshaw. And Eli Manning here hits Plaxico Burress, as he did so many times during their run together, to give the Giants an early lead. The Giants were actually down 17-16 at the half in this game. They were hanging in there, but unfortunately the Giants defense just could not stop Dallas at all. This was a high-powered offense. This 47-yard touchdown pass to Terrell Owens from Tony Romo gave the Cowboys the lead in the fourth quarter, but the Giants kept fighting. They came back to make the score close. Plaxico Burress had a huge game with 3 touchdown receptions and 144 yards receiving. Eli Manning and Tony Romo both had 4 touchdown passes on the day. The Cowboys' offense was just too much in the end, and the Giants' defense just could not stop Dallas. And the Cowboys went on to win this one 45-35. Dallas would go on to have a 13-3 regular season and win the NFC East, but we would see them again in the playoffs. In this game, also, Eli Manning was slammed on his shoulder on a 2-point conversion attempt, and he was supposed to be out for a number of weeks, but ended up only missing a few days of practice and ended up playing the next week's game against the Packers. Running back Brandon Jacobs also sprained his right MCL and missed the next 3 games. So a lot of injuries, and OCU Manure was also hurt. So on to week 2, the Giants were a 2.5-point favorite at home for their home opener against Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers. And you figure the Giants were coming off a very disappointing defensive effort on the road against Dallas, but now they're home and you figure that they will have a better showing. Well, they did in the first half, and the Giants led this game 10-7 at halftime and were only behind by 1 point, 14-13 going into the fourth quarter. But the fourth quarter is where things started unraveling for Big Blue, and the Packers just took over and sent the Giants and their fans home with another ugly loss, 35-13. Brett Favre threw for 3 touchdown passes and also, at the time, became the quarterback with the most wins in NFL history after this victory, surpassing John Elway. The Giant defense just could not stop Favre and the Packers, and their defense was extremely questionable at this point. They now have allowed 80 points in the first 2 games, so they lose this one 35-13, and they hardly look like Super Bowl champs or even playoff contenders at this point. Week 3 takes us to Washington, and Washington was a 3.5-point favorite in front of 90,000 fans at FedEx Field. The Giants were coming off 2 very unimpressive performances, and they really needed to win this game to turn their season around. Washington was 2-0, the Giants were 0-2. Reuben Drones filling in for the injured Jacobs here. Pounds went into the end zone to try and take the Giants back in this game, and Plaxico Burress with a huge fourth quarter touchdown here. The Giants were down 17-3 at the half and were looking sluggish yet again, but they ended up shutting out the Redskins in the second half and scoring 21 unanswered points. Washington then comes down the field. They have 1st and goal on the 1-yard line, trying to tie the game or go for 2 to take the win. But the Giants defense makes their biggest stand of the season and the turning point of the season for New York. If they lose this game and go to 0-3, you can kiss the season goodbye. But the defense stands tall. They stop Liddell Betts, and they take the win. For some reason, Washington's starting running back Clinton Portis was not in the game, but nonetheless, the Giants take this one 24-17 and advance to 1-2 on the season. And just a side note, Giants cornerback Corey Webster was benched in that game after taking a horrible angle on a completion to Santana Moss. The next game is the Philadelphia Eagles game, Week 4. The Eagles came into Giants Stadium a 2.5-point favorite in this game, and it was a big one because the Giants and Eagles were both 1-2, and both teams needed another win. The defense finally came to play this game. They only allowed 3 points, and so it seemed like the defense was getting their act together after being totally embarrassed the first 2 weeks. In this game, OCU Manura had 6 sacks on the day to set a Giants franchise record for most sacks in a game by one player. And Kavika Mitchell also picked up this fumble right here and returned it for a touchdown. A nice complete win for Big Blue. Again, though, the offense was still sputtering a bit because you had the defensive turnover here for a touchdown. You had this touchdown here to Plaxico Burress, but not much else going on offensively in this game. But it was good to see that the defense was actually coming around and that they were getting pressure on the quarterback. Manning only threw for 135 yards in this game. McNabb, 138 yards. But again, the story of this game was number 72, OCU Manura, and his 6 sacks. Matthias Kiwanuka also had 3 of his own, and the Giants as a team had 12 sacks on the day. So they got what they needed from the defense, and they improved to 2-2 on the season. OCU Manura obviously would be named NFC Defensive Player of the Week, and it seemed like the Giants were finally moving in the right direction. If you like what you watched so far, we will continue the Giants season. This was weeks 1 through 4. The second part will be coming up in the next few days, so stay tuned, and thank you very, very much for watching.